for anyone who follows Final Fantasy XIV, the community has been having a bit of an uproar lately. I'm gonna get rid of the timer. After this, I'll just start the game. There's been a lot of uproar because basically what Mare was a plugin or a mod that you could use to see mods that anyone else was using, so that everyone could see all the same stuff at the same time on their screen. It was used for a lot of roleplay and stuff like that, but people were using it for like more adult mods and to cheese and get like paid or difficult to obtain items for free. And eventually it got taken down. And a lot of people got really angry at it and started review bombing the game, being like, this game is terrible, this game is bad, but they couldn't officially say it was the mod, right? So they'd be giving like a bunch of different reasons that were completely unrelated, talking about why the game was garbage and why it was never good in the first place, and just ruining its reputation on Steam. And Yoshi-P has finally come forward to actually say something, and it was addressed in a way I never actually expected. It was really mature and had a lot of empathy for the modders, actually. So basically, what it all comes down to is everything was removed because people don't know how to not talk about Fight Club. Let's go through it a bit and you'll see what I mean. And I think this is really important as well. And I will, that's why I'm showing it directly so you can see it. I'll link to it as well in the chat so you can see it. I'll link to it as soon as this is done. We request the cooperation of media outlets and those intending to repost this comment elsewhere. Please do not summarize or provide only excerpts. We respectfully ask that you link readers to this comment instead. So we will read the actual comment and I will link it so you can see the actual information at its source so that you can have all the information. And I like that because a lot of people have been making assumptions or making claims that are not true, and it's really important that people only talk about the real reasons and stuff here. So anyway, let's keep going. Hello everyone, producer and director Naoki Yoshida here. I'd like to address the recent feedback and discussion among the community regarding in-game mods. You can see this everywhere online. People were furious. People were holding like in-game. Okay, this one was gross. There's something that people do in-game for memorials and funerals, right? Like sometimes they'll light little fires, and it's kind of like a way to mourn. People do that when really big figures in like the anime or gaming communities pass away, and it was done for the death of the mod. I think that was a little overkill, but it shows how much people were upset about this. So let's keep going. Firstly, while I am in charge of Final Fantasy XIV, I'm also a PC gamer, and have been for many years. I've spoken about this multiple times in the past. As Alicia said, he has spoken about this in the past. But my own personal stance regarding mods, that I do tolerate them, has not changed. So it's not that Yoshi-P hates mods. Basically, he doesn't care. A lot of people don't care if you're using them for your own enjoyment and to have fun. The problem is when it becomes more than that and starts to cause problems. And the Stellar Blade devs, for example, thrive on controversy. So for Shift Up, it doesn't matter if people post like half-naked booby gooner mods because that's what they basically base their company around anyway. So for them, it's not going to hurt them. It's going to just grow their reputation. But for a company that's not known for that and doesn't want that to be its image, that's genuinely harming their brand. In the past 20 or so years, I've seen numerous positive examples of games with fan-made mods that expand upon existing gameplay. See, he acknowledges that mods can be a good thing. However, these mods are generally created with a vital premise in mind. They are for personal use only, and the individual player is responsible for the mods they use. Furthermore, the mods must not impact the core of the game. He gets into how that has happened, so we'll talk about it. It's services. He gets into that as well. We'll talk about it. Or the intended game design in a negative manner. I personally feel that these rules should be followed by all mod creators and users. He's not saying don't make mods, don't use mods. He's literally just saying don't talk about it. If you use mods, like, don't talk about it. Keep it to yourself. make it your own business. Like, he gets that it's going to happen. He's not fighting that it's going to happen. But he has to shut down when things cause problems. He didn't even shut down all the NSFW mods that were involved in this, by the way, just Mare, which makes it possible to share them. And we'll explain why. We'll keep going. Why this was more of a problem than the mods that might have caused the problems. Literally, I'm just saying, please shut the fuck up. It's for your own good. Just shut the fuck up. You want your mods? Shut the fuck up. And you can have your mods, is basically what he's saying. Yeah, you made it clear, Lyndon. Okay, that being said, if players continue to uphold the above premise of mods enhancing one's personal enjoyment of the game and acknowledge that they are taking responsibility for what they download, I personally see no reason to track down or investigate gamers for the general use of mods. So, like, honestly, this made me so confident that, sure, maybe someday I'll try, like, the VR mod or something. I don't know. He's literally saying it's your own business. Whatever happens to you, that's your fault. You acknowledge. Like, that's a very mature and good PR way to handle it. It's like, we're not going to ban you for using them, basically. Unless it's obviously, like, hurting the game. But, like, you can't just talk about it. You can't post everywhere. You can't share. Yeah, cheating is a no-no. And if it's cheating, is, like, a whole other story. Of course, from my position leading Final Fantasy XIV, I still feel that it is vital for players to follow our user agreement and rules. They started breaking the rules, and he goes into exactly what this means. Additionally, I'd like to stress the importance that players follow two rules: that their style of gameplay does not infringe upon others, which it did, and I understand where he's coming from, and that they do not negatively impact the core of the game. Its services is intended design, or to mention, we just read that already, I'm sorry. It's my sincerest hope that everyone can continue playing Final Fantasy XIV as well as other PC games in ways that are enjoyable to them. He literally said, keep using your mods, but if you keep talking about them, we might have to shut more down, so for the love of God, shut the fuck up! Below, I'd like to elaborate on what infringing upon others and negatively impacting the intended game design entail. These are merely examples, so I don't mind if you skip over them. Furthermore, this is not a criticism of those who create or use mods. The following is meant to deepen everyone's understanding of our stance on the matter. So he's basically saying, like, he's not going after the creators, but here's how we stand on these particular type of mods, why we don't like them, why they cause problems, trying to reach the players so that they understand why it's a problem instead of just, we don't like this, modders are gross. He's genuinely trying to appeal to the players and have them understand. I think this is the best way this could have possibly been handled, and I really see his point. So, altering item and character appearances. There are some cases where this is fine. In my opinion, there's some cases where it's not. In Final Fantasy XIV, we have several extremely high-end duties that challenge players to their limit, known as ultimate raids, which I really want to play someday. To defeat the enemies within these raids, players must dedicate a significant amount of time and effort. As their reward for clearing, they earn the title of Legend, as well as job-specific weapons with specialized visual effects. Let's say player A loves ultimate raids and is motivated to challenge them at every opportunity. After they clear, they proudly equip their new title and weapon as proof of their party's diligent efforts to earn them. Meanwhile, we have player B, who makes use of a specific mod. This mod, they're definitely calling out Mare directly in this regard. In terms of, like, allowing other people to see them do this anyway. This mod allows them to bypass the conditions for obtaining in-game items, making it possible for them to equip any item in-game, including items that must be purchased with real money, which that is actually costing Square Enix money. That is literally stealing, in my opinion. If you're gonna mod in an outfit that doesn't exist because you make it yourself and one of her funsies, or one that's not available on your character's race for whatever reason or gender, that's one thing. But if you are cheating so that you can use an outfit that you can just straight up buy, that's wrong. Player B is busy with work, and although they have the motivation, their circumstances prevent them from progressing through any of the ultimate raids. So, like, even though they want to, they can't. I get that. I feel that so hard. they decide instead to install a mod so that they can at least see what it looks like to have their own character equipped with one of the ultimate raid weapons, which is a legitimate reason. Like, you want to see it for fun? What's wrong with having it on your side, you know? You just want to see it for fun. You literally are not able to do it. But then if you use something like Mirror that allows it so that anyone else can see you cheating and equipping it, that is taking away from the achievements of other people who worked to get it. Player B uses said mod to equip a set of items which only displays on their client's screen. To other players, Player B's model is only wearing default gear. But on Player B's monitor, they're equipped with a dazzling ultimate weapon. This is where it gets a little problematic even on this side though. They take a screenshot of their character and decide to use it as their desktop background. Like, for them on their own account, that's fine. But if you're posting the screenshot publicly, it gets into, other people seeing it again. In this case, Player A has followed the rules of the game and worked hard with their party to clear the ultimate raid, earning themselves a weapon and a title as evidence of their feat. When other players come across Player A using their title and ultimate weapon, they see a legend who has overcome one of the game's most punishing duties, which is a huge deal. On the other hand, should they encounter Player B, they'd simply see a character with their default gear. So while Player B is having fun, imagining themselves in that scenario and having the gear they want, no one else is seeing them and being like, wow, you did this, you're a legend! Because it's just showing normal stuff, right? That is such a good compromise. Because genuinely there's things I'm never going to get good enough in games to do because of time. And if I want to see it for funsies, why is that so wrong? So I kind of appreciate the way this was worded a lot. Let's imagine a scenario where Player A and B cross paths in-game. On Player B's screen, Player A appears with their Player A appears with their brand new title and ultimate weapon, the same weapon that they appear to themselves as having equipped. Conversely, on Player A's screen, Player A appears with their title and hard-won weapon, while Player B appears in their default gear. So, basically, it's the same thing as with strangers, right? In other words, Player A sees the rewards each player has earned fairly within the context of the game's rules. Player B sees a modified version of the game, but these changes are visible only to Player B themselves, and thus fall within the realm of individual enjoyment. Based on the wording in this document, he's literally said that's okay. He's literally basically given people the freedom to do that, as long as they don't post it on other people or take screenshots and share publicly. It's literally been said, like, you really want to see yourself in that gear, as long as it's only on your side, go ahead, dozo. Like, it's basically just individual enjoyment. That's within the rules of the game. He's never said anything like that before. He literally just said don't talk about Fight Club. Like, literally. And then even below it, to give them an extra benefit of the doubt, please note that this is not intended as a judgment on the virtue of one approach versus the other. So he's literally saying, like, in terms of what is allowed or not allowed or what is moral or whatever, like, he's not passing judgment on anyone. He's just saying, like, look, this is a game. It has rules. We have to follow the rules for the sake of the game. Similarly, if a player chooses to install a mod, the risk of encountering a computer virus, for example, is borne by the individual. So he's like, you know what? If you're going to download them, sure. But if you get a virus, it ain't my fault. Additionally, mods that do not adversely affect other players and which ensure visual changes are only visible to the individual user can be said to narrowly maintain the integrity of the game's design. Although, of course, this is open to interpretation. Like, there are going to be people that could argue that it's still bad, but I agree with him. Like, it doesn't matter if it's for yourself and it's for funsies. However, if a mod was updated and its changes became visible not just to the individual mod user, but to other players too, which is what Mare did. You could exchange codes, and then if you have someone else's codes, you could see the mods that they put on their character. So it made it a little more complicated, because then at that point it was sharing, and people could, like, share each other's cheated designs, which I understand for roleplay or for fun, but I can also understand why that hurts the integrity of the game much more, especially if it becomes very widespread. Player A, with their title and gear earned from hours of concerted effort with their friends, and Player B, with their mod-driven gear, are now on a level playing field, so to speak, at least visually. This development may not concern Player B, but for Player A, it considerably negates the cooperation, time, and effort invested, not to mention the pride they might have felt on their achievement, because it's like, everything they worked for doesn't mean anything anymore if someone else can just get it for free without trying. After all, their rewards are now available to anyone with the mod installed, albeit lacking the corresponding in-game attributes. In this example, other players have been infringed upon, and the intended design of the game has been negatively impacted. Although Player B may have been aware of the mod's precise functionality, their usage has diminished from other players' motivation and circumvented the game's systems. Like, for all you know, that player could be so bitter they quit and decide not to play anymore. Even if the creator of the mod simply intended for players to readily access and enjoy their favorite gear, they've detrimentally affected both the game and the wider player community. In response, our only options would be to ask that players cease using the mod or to request that the mod creator removes the functionality causing the problem. Of course, we could also implement preventative measures in-game, but this would divert programming resources from other areas, potentially damaging the enjoyment of other players in the long run, which is true. Like, they could come up with different ways to block mods every time new mods come up, but what's the point? Because that effort could be put into making new game content, if it's not harming anyone else, you know? The scenario outlined above is just one example, but I hope it clarifies the differences between mod usage within the realm of individual enjoyment, and mod usage which is damaging to the game itself. So basically, literally, just don't talk about Fight Club. And apparently the Japanese users of Final Fantasy XIV have been posting online about how everyone in the English community is like fucking stupid to allow this to happen in the first place. And honestly, everybody's been so clear about it so many times. I think it's less that people are stupid and more that people got so comfortable breaking the rules because there was really nothing done about it. And because people got too comfortable for too long, it just escalated. And while it might not have been a problem at first, it became a problem because of reasons like this happening. Like, it's inevitable, stuff like that would happen. But when that becomes main and widespread, players start to get resentful, you know? They also just aren't wrong. Yeah. But anyway. Some players might ask, well, what about a mod which only makes changes visible to users of the same mod? The issue is that any mod which makes changes visible to others requires manipulation or rewriting of game files, which is fundamentally even more problematic and disruptive. And destructive, sorry, because then it could like clash with any updates or anything. So they also genuinely thought it was dangerous to the core of the game. Even supposing that this theoretical... I like how they worded it, though. This theoretical mod... As if everyone doesn't know what they're talking about. Even supposing that this theoretical mod provided generous improvements to the game and was well received by all players, the moment a problematic feature is introduced to said mod, we must insist that players stop using it. Another example of such a feature, a mod that allows players to freely equip optional items and display them to others. What does that say to the players who go through the trouble of saving up to purchase these goods from Final Fantasy XIV online store? Are these players losing out by not using a mod because they spend money and others don't have to? Some may say that Square Enix is to blame for trying to make money by demanding that players spend extra on optional items. We operate our servers and data centers 24 hours a day, 365 days a year with the hope that our players can enjoy a reliable gaming experience. Currently, global inflation is taking its toll at a rapid pace, driving up server electricity costs, the cost of land, and even the price of servers themselves. We do not want to increase subscription fees for players, if at all possible, but keeping our game running requires sufficient income. They're not wrong. And Square Enix has also talked about how Final Fantasy XIV isn't earning what it used to, or Square Enix as a whole. So, with costs going up and player base going down, we know this. If they want to keep the game at good quality and keep it active at the same price, they need to make money somehow. So, how is allowing people to download paid items for free helping? It's really not. Like, they're still a company. They do need to make money. Like, I get it. They really need to get the money. That's the whole point of optional. If you can't afford the optional paid items, don't use them. In a game where there's like thousands of glam items, just use something else. It's not hard, man. Yeah. If we start creating a deficit, Final Fantasy XIV may no longer be able to operate. Do you want end of service? This is an example of damage dealt to the services we provide. In these cases as well, we ask that players refrain from using such mods or remove the offending function of the mod itself. I personally understand that modding culture is rooted in good intentions. See, he's not saying people intend to cause harm. But we're given no choice but to act if mods even incidentally threaten the player motivations or the viability of our services. Server costs at your work make you want to throw up. TV, you understand what he's saying then? It's really expensive to host game servers. One of Pam's siblings is a game dev. I get it too. It's like, it's really bad. Servers genuinely are expensive. And they're not lying. Like, I know people are like, company wants more money, but it's a genuine concern for online games right now. Like, it's a genuine thing. And there's another one. Let's consider another theoretical mod. One that displays your character entirely naked. Yeah, one theoretical mod. There's more of those than I could count. If this presentation is displayed only on the user screen, that might fall into the category of personal use and responsibility. Yoshi-P literally said, if you want to play butt fucking naked, if you want to goon while playing, go ahead as long as it's just your own character. He literally said, if it's just on your side, go ahead. Go ahead, play butt naked. Go play butt naked, download your weird pose mod, do whatever you want, but it's only on your own screen. And then he added to this one too, just like bear in mind that this is my personal interpretation, for legal reasons. Don't sue Square Enix. Not a discussion of whether that behavior is right or wrong. However, if the user posts a screenshot of their naked character publicly on social media, Final Fantasy XIV itself may be subject to legal measures by regulators in certain countries. This was one of the things people were suspecting, and let's keep going and explain why this right now may have been putting a lot of pressure on it and could be a big reason it got taken down, okay? Laws that regulate the content of video games grow stricter by the year, by the minute right now with the censorship we're seeing in games being taken down from itch and Steam. These laws are there to protect minors. They're emphasizing certain movements and for a variety of other reasons. But the fact remains that they are tangibly becoming stricter. We have a duty to provide our services in adherence to the laws of all countries where Final Fantasy XIV is available. They can't have the rules be different in some countries. It's not possible. And if we're unable to do so, the distribution of our game could be prohibited. So if people keep sharing all these naked screenshots, there's a possibility Final Fantasy XIV gets banned. Do you want it to get banned? Because of mods? No, not really. This is another example of damage dealt to our services. Allow me to repeat myself when I say that I do not intend for these examples to be a censure of mods or creators. He's not trying to shut down those individual mods or what people are doing. He doesn't care. I only wish to provide some tangible examples of how using certain mods in certain ways, like posting publicly or sharing them with other players, can damage other players, Final Fantasy XIV, and the services we provide, regardless of the mod's original intent. He's being so generous, assuming no one means any harm with all this. As always, we will do our utmost to keep creating a world where all players can enjoy, even though it may take time to do so. It is my hope to incorporate player feedback and officially fulfill as many functionality requests as possible. I am also considering how to increase the freedom of choice players have in the gear they choose to equip. While paying respect to the long-standing tradition of modding PC games, I ask that all players in return respect our game by enjoying their fun within the confines of some basic rules. Before, he had never given a solid stance on mods. He never said, yes, mods are okay. This can quite literally be interpreted to say mods are okay, but here's our rules for them. this is the kindest, gentlest tap on the shoulder and like finger waggle I've ever seen. So if people keep review bombing the game and are mad at him after this, like, hot damn, people have a problem. I still get it. People are still allowed to be sad about it happening. I get it. This is devastating for a lot of people, but it only got here in the first place because people made it a problem, you know? With that business aside, he just talks about how he's like really happy for FanFest and stuff, so I don't have to keep reading, but I did think it was really important to bring that up just because it is such a big deal having him speak so openly and so bluntly about you know, mods and what they're doing. And I'm happy that there's finally a bit more of a solid stance because I genuinely, you know, I've admired a lot of the mods, but I never wanted to try them because I didn't want my account to get banned or anything. I'm not gonna ever use any publicly. I still don't even know if I'll use any privately, but at least, I'm sorry, my model is still frozen. At least now, if I ever decide I would like to, there's some solid rules on it. And, you know, it's good. It's good to know where the company stance is. It's also a tough spot for him between the players and the investors, publisher. Yeah, I can imagine working in AAA would be hell. No matter what you do, you're damned if you do or you don't. Yeah, basically, don't talk about Fight Club. This is because you guys didn't behave yourselves. And, yeah. Most people would prefer Mare to be dropped over all the others. That's why Mare was dropped as a warning. I genuinely think so. People were sharing codes everywhere, so Mare was dropped as a warning. Basically saying, hey, we don't want to drop the mods you enjoy. So if you want to keep enjoying the mods, we're removing this tool and setting some ground rules. So, be more careful in the future, respect us, and we'll respect you and your privacy and what you choose to do with your own playthrough and your own time if you don't share it. So, they didn't even say anything, like, I wouldn't do this obviously, but they didn't even say anything about, like, sharing screenshots of mods that aren't naked or whatever. It's like, they understand that a lot happens. And I'm really happy that there's a bit of clarity. And ignore my, like, half an hour tangent, but